Hello. So today for math, we are going to review telling time in a different way, right? So we already know how to show and tell time to the minute using analog and digital clocks. So we're going to review that a little bit today, and then we're going to be using words and phrases just to make sure that we understand how to do that. Okay, so talking about how many minutes past an hour and how many minutes until the next hour, right? So today we're going to review that. Okay, so we can use words and phrases to help us tell the time. Everything on this side of the clock, we're going to say it's after or past. And everything on this side of the clock will say it's to the next hour. And I will show you more about that. But when I say everything on this side of the clock, I mean the minute hand. When we're talking about the minute hands, right? When the minute hand is on this side of the clock, typically we would say how many minutes after the hour or how many minutes past the hour, okay? And then on this side of the clock, we would say how many minutes until the next hour, or blank minutes to the next hour. Okay, so that's why we really want to look at the hour hand and figure out what 2 hours it's between, what hour is it right now, and what would the next hour be. Okay, and that's really showing your understanding of how to tell time, because if you can tell time and you understand time, you should be able to tell time in multiple ways. So these lines, when the minute hand, when the minute hand is on the 3, so if we have here, I'll draw a minute hand. If the minute hand is facing that 3, it's a quarter after or a quarter past. And the reason it's a quarter after or a quarter past is if we were to draw a line right across it. So I just divided this clock into 4 pieces, right? And when we break something into 4 pieces, another word for 4 pieces is a fraction, right? So it's 1/4 or 1/4. 1/4 is the same as saying 1/4, right? So when the minute hand is on that 3, like this minute hand is right here, it's a quarter after. Okay, I'm going to delete this so we can see it. It's a quarter after because it has gone 1/4 of the way around the clock. So it's gone a quarter after. So I'm going to write the word quarter right here. And quarter, you can remember that word quarter means fourth because how many quarters are in a dollar, right? We need 4 quarters in $1. So 1/4 is 1/4. So a quarter after when the time is here. When the minute hand is on the 3. When the minute hand is on the 6, we don't say a quarter anymore because it's not 1/4, it's actually 2 quarters. But if we know equivalent fractions, it's also gone 1/2 of the way around, right? So it's not a quarter after 3 or a quarter after 4. It's 2 quarters or a half. So it's half past, okay? It's half past. Now I'll actually write this in. This would be 15. When we're at 15, when the time is something blank dot 15, it would be another word for it would be a quarter past. And this is half past or something dot 30. Okay? So you would say it would be half past 4 would be 4:30. Okay, or half past 3 would be 3:30 because it's gone half of the way past 3 o'clock. Okay. Now, as the minute hand travels, right? First it makes its way around. It starts at the 12, right? It makes its way around a quarter of the clock, half of the clock. Now we're at the 9. The 9, we're going to say it's not. It's gone 3/4 of the way, right? But we wouldn't say it's 3/4 past an hour. We wouldn't say if it was 3:45, we wouldn't say it's 3/4 past. I mean, you could say that, but people don't say that typically. So when you get here, when you're on this side of the clock, you would say how many minutes to the next hour, all right? And just like over here, this is also a quarter. So it's a quarter of an hour for 15 minutes, right? 5, 10, 15 minutes until the next hour. Okay, so it's a quarter to for this time. If it's 3:45, how many minutes until the next hour? It's a quarter to 4 o'clock. Okay, so anytime you see that it's 45, the minutes are 45, you can also say that as a quarter to the next hour. Okay, so when you see the minute hand on the 3, or if the minutes are 15, you would say a quarter after or a quarter past. When it's 30, something 30, you would say it's half after or half past. And then when you see 45 or on the 9, you would say a quarter to the next hour. Let's try this a few times. Okay, so these clocks on the side show a time, and some of them show, one shows a quarter to the next hour, one shows half past the next hour, one shows o'clock, and one shows a quarter after. So first let's find what the time is for each, and then we'll draw lines to match them. Okay, so let's figure out what this time is. First, I'm going to look at the hour. The hour, I can see it's on 1, so the time is 1 o'clock, right? But what's the hour? I mean, what's the minute hand? The minute is on 12. Okay, when it's on 12, do I write 12 here? No, remember, I skip count by 5s, but when I'm right on the 12, I know that's right when the new hour is starting. So that's really 0. We haven't gone anywhere yet. So that's 1 o'clock. Okay, 1 o'clock. Is it a quarter to an hour? No, it's not on the minute hand is not on the 9, right? It doesn't say 45 here. Is it half past? No, the minute hand's not on the 6, and it doesn't say 30 here. Is it o'clock? Yes, it's o'clock, right? Because the minute is 00. That's o'clock, right? Let's just check this last one. Is it a quarter after? No, the minutes don't say 15, and that minute hand is not on the 3. So we know that this must match with o'clock. All right, let's look at this one. The hour hand is on the 6, so it's 6 o'clock, right? And the minute hand is on the 3. Let's skip count by 5s. Start at the 12, 5, 10, 15. So it's 15. Okay, now I know another way of saying this doesn't have to be 6:15. It could be 15 minutes past 6, or, so it's past, right? We're on this, the minute hand is on this side of the clock from the 12 to the 6. So we know it's past. So it could be quarter to. No, that would be on this side of the clock, right? Or is it a quarter after? Could be. Is this a quarter to? No. Is it a quarter after? You're right. It is a quarter after because it's gone 1/4 of the way, right? From 12 to 3 is a quarter after. And it hasn't gone halfway around the clock. Halfway around the clock would be all the way to the 6. The hour hand is on the 6, but we're looking at the minute hand, right? So it's a quarter after. So another way of saying this time would be a quarter after 6. All right, let's take a look at this time. This, the hour, oh, which one is the hour? Oh, right, the shorter hand. Okay, so the shorter hand is on, it's not on, it's in between the 9 and the 10. It's not to the 10 yet, so I know that the hour must be 9, right? And the minute hand is on the 9, but I need to skip count by 5. So I'm starting at the 12, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Okay, so the minutes must be 45. So it's 9:45. Another way of saying that, it's not half past, right? Because that would mean it would have to be halfway around. It went more than halfway around. Half of 12 is 6, so it would be on the 6. So it must be a quarter to, and that's right. The minute hand is on this side of the clock. So it's talking about how many minutes until the next hour, right? So it is a quarter to. It has to travel a quarter of the way or a fourth of the way around the clock to get back to the 12. So it's a quarter to the next hour. And then this last one, I'm going to write the time down here. The hour is, it's in between, I would say, the 4 and the 5. So I know it didn't make it to the 5 yet. So the hour must be 4. Now, the minutes. Minutes is on 6. Oh, right. I know that half of 12 is 6. And there are 60 minutes in an hour, so it must be 30, right? I know that halfway around the clock is 30. And I'm going to check my work just to make sure. If I skip count by 5s, I get 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, I'm correct. It's 4:30. 4:30. And I already know that's my last answer left. So that matches with that clock. 4:30. Okay. The clock below shows the time a train from Memphis is scheduled to arrive at Central Station. What time is a train scheduled to arrive? Let's practice telling time. Okay, I know that we need to start with the hour. We're going to start with the shorter hand. That's the hour hand. It's in between. If I were to draw a line, right? I'm going to try my best. Okay, it's in between the 12 and a 1. It didn't make it to the 1 yet. So I know that it has to be 12 o'clock still. It's not at 1 o'clock yet. It's in between 12 and 1. Now, this is the minute hand. Sometimes this is hard because it doesn't line all the way up. You kind of have to draw a line to extend it. So I'm going to do my best to draw a straight line. It looks like it's going right here. Okay, it's not directly on one of these numbers, so I have to skip count by 5s and then skip count by 1s, starting with 12. Let's do it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So right here, where the 8 is, that's 40, right? 40, 41, 42. Okay, so I know that the time must be 12:42. Now, we can also, just like before, we're going to use words to describe the time. Okay, so here's the time. It is 12:42. So how many minutes passed? It's past the hour of 12, right? And how many minutes until the next hour? It's past 12. We know the next hour is 1, so you could fill it out like this. It's easy to fill it out like that. How many minutes passed? We have it right here. That answer is right here. We don't have to think about it. 42 minutes past 12. 42 minutes past 12. Okay, now how many minutes until it gets to 1 o'clock, right? 1 o'clock. How many minutes until it gets to 1 o'clock? Well, we can just count from here up until we get to the 12, which I like to count backwards because I like to count by my 5s first, but you can even count like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. You can count by 1s, right? 18 minutes until this minute hand gets up to the 12 and it turns back to 0. Okay, 18 minutes. Okay, so now you know a little bit more about telling time using words rather than only using numbers. So I want you to head on to Pearson and try your quick check and your independent practice.